everyone, thank you for joining me today. Today I am sharing my July bullet journal setup. My original idea was to do an avocado theme, and that kind of evolved into a guacamole theme. So for my cover page, I'm creating a cutting board with a Dutch door that gives the illusion of cutting the vegetables, and then a pull tab, and I will save that for you to take a look and see. I'm creating my background using Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to be honest, this wasn't one of my favorite setups of the year. I was actually having a really hard time and procrastinating a lot. I had to edit out a lot because I was just dragging my feet getting this done. Now that it's done, I like it. But while I was putting it together, I was not a fan. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit on what to do when you don't like a layout. I mean, you have a number of options. One option is to tear out the pages or glue the pages together and move on. But the option I went for, especially after spending as much time as I have on the layout, was just to keep going and hope for the best. I mean, if I don't want to, I don't have to look at this cover page again. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, as you can see, this is another pull tab, and it's actually a combination of one of my earlier pull tabs. So if you go back and look, my Roses Are Red layout, it's kind of a play on that, and combined with the illusion that I did with my June setup. And I just combined those two and put it together for this. So I will share that up in the cards for you, both those videos that you can check out. Otherwise, it was way more complicated than I intended, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm not too happy with how it turned out. But this part is where you see me cutting the pull version, where you're going to see the pop-up. And I had some issues with this. I didn't reinforce it enough, so I didn't make it strong enough. And I actually had to go back in and tape parts of it down, which was really frustrating because I'd finished doing everything. But I can take a moment and talk about my supplies that I used. I'm using my A5 Archer and Olive notebook, and I actually used acrylographs throughout this layout as well. I used my Distress Ink Oxide to color in my cutting boards, so just to save time on that. And then besides glue and scissors and the plastic that you see me use here, I also use stickers that are available to my email subscribers. You can sign up and get free printables, or you can head on over to the shop and you can buy some as well. I will be sharing an avocado tutorial that you can follow along with, and you can check that out. It was kind of fun to put it together. It took a little while, but it was definitely a lot of fun. I ended up going over the dried acrylographs twice just to make it pop a little bit more on the dark surface. So this is where you see me go in with the dots to create the avocado effect. And it did take a while, but I feel like it came out looking like a real avocado, so I was pretty happy with that. And like I said, I'm just going in with the second layer. I waited for my acrylographs to dry completely before going in and putting the second layer over top. Otherwise, you're just going to end up scratching off the paint, so you want to be really careful. I had a lot of issues with my little shallot onion thing. And I didn't wait long enough for bits and parts to dry, so I ended up just going in, blending it actually. I blended the white with some of the purple that I had left over, just to kind of make that white a little less jarring and stand out a little less. Because I was kind of disappointed with how the execution was going, I ended up making a lot of mistakes. I used thicker chalk pen to cover up a lot of my mistakes, and I actually also ended up cutting in the wrong areas for the pull tab, which you'll see coming up soon. And I just ended up taping the wrong cut with just clear tape on the back and cutting a new one. So that was fine. That was easy to fix. I also ended up cutting the strips too wide so that the pull tab was kind of moving around too much and it wasn't being held in place. And you'll see why I wanted it to be in a specific place shortly, but it was really rough going on this one. Then I ended up hating how the chalk looked, so I glued paper over the top and then had to redo the coloring just to kind of get it to blend in more. A part of me feels I would have been better off starting all over again, but I was pot committed at this point, especially because I'd already chosen my guacamole theme and designed my stickers. And now that I'm watching this and thinking about it, I actually came up with a new idea in my head. But it's done now, and I'm ready to move on from this layout. So you see writing on the bits of paper that I use for the mechanism, and that's just because I was trying to save paper. I had some paper left over, and so I just grabbed what I had to reinforce the spine of the pull tab. And so this was my concept for having the cut vegetables. And I'm sorry, a huge piece of video cut out. It didn't film, but basically I drew a cut avocado, a cut tomato, and some chopped onion. And this was actually kind of cool. So I put down the acrylograph so the ink was still wet, and then I used the dry brush. It's actually dry. I made sure to tap it so that it wasn't wet, to go in and just kind of blend out the color a little bit. And it ended up drying just fine. So I was really happy with that, kind of treating it a bit more like a watercolor. But you have to work fast because the acrylograph does dry fairly quickly. I wasn't using very thick paint, so it was drying pretty quickly. But it worked. I got the effect that I wanted. So here I am creating a guacamole effect on July. So I ended up lettering on a spare piece of paper on the notepad from Archer and Olive, and then I just cut out the shapes and I started coloring it in to look like guacamole, adding some purple for the onions, red for the tomato, a lighter green that you find in the avocado. And it ended up looking more or less like guacamole, I think. Let me know down below if you are team guacamole or team salad. At one point when I was drawing this, it ended up looking like salad, so I wasn't too sure. I managed to keep the mechanism fairly tidy. You want to be careful, otherwise it gets very bulky very quickly. This is the last month in this bullet journal for me, so I wasn't too concerned about bulkiness, but it's definitely something to keep in mind when you are building these pull tabs, if it's something you want to do in your bullet journal. So that was my concept, was having the chopped vegetables, and then you pull down, the chopped vegetables disappear, and the guacamole jumps out at the top of the page as July. So again, probably very extra, but as the joke goes, so is guacamole. And here's where I'm going in with the thicker chalk marker just to clean it up a little bit. And this month's dashboard is It's Never Too Late to Go Back to Bed. And that is available for my email subscribers. I email those out at the beginning of every month. So if you want to get a free dashboard, make sure to sign up. Again, the link is down below to my blog where you can find the sign up page. But this is the basic concept of my cover page. So moving on to my calendar. Last month, I did a blog post and a video about different calendar layouts that you can do. So I'll link that up in the cards above as well. And I decided to try something different with my calendar layout. So we'll see how it goes. I think part of my frustration with this layout was just my excitement about moving into a new bullet journal. I'm actually moving into the B5, which is bigger, and I have plans and I'm excited. And so being that this was the last month, I don't think my heart was in it as much. So it was a bit more forced than normal. And that's fine. But, you just have to have patience with yourself when you kind of get into that funk. So this is the washi that is available for free download or for purchase in the shop. They're just washi strips on a piece of paper. And then I'm just using generic black washi to kind of tie in all the black lettering and everything together. And these stickers are the stickers that are available to you. It's lime, onion, tomato, garlic, and avocado. I also threw in some tortilla chips and jalapeno. So I decided to combine my tracker page and my notes page, or my brain dump page, just because I am running out of space. And also, like I said, I've been feeling a bit burnt out. So I didn't really feel the need to, or desire to want to do anything fancy with my trackers. So I just kind of kept it simple. As you can see there, I messed up my stamping. So what I did, I just stamped on an extra piece of paper and glued it down. I'm actually thinking of going in and redoing these headers just to put them on a black background and then letter over top of them. Still not sure though. I think I'm just going to move on from this and call it a day. And that's okay too. I do like to outline my lettering just because I feel it pops more off the page and it kind of makes it a little bit neater in a way and just a lot more fun. And then I just added some stickers to kind of balance it out a little bit. So this will be my first weekly layout. Again, I messed up my stamping, so I just fixed it by stamping on another sheet. I went back to what I did last March, I think, or May, which is the Hobonichi style setup. Don't have too much planned for July, just with school holidays being about. So I decided I didn't need too much space, so I would just stick to this minimal layout. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got some inspiration from it. If not what I did, at least pulling through and pushing through whatever doubts you may have and just finishing it up. But I share my flip through at the end of the video. If you enjoyed this, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe. And again, you can check out the blog for how to get some free stickers. But thank you so much for watching today.